before you open
Okay.
it.
Okay, good evening, everyone. This meeting's being recorded. It's our first meeting of the new board year. And so the first order of business is that I'm opening the meeting. We have all of our board members here. We have a quorum. The first order of business is to call for the election of the new board officers. So I would like to open the floor for nominations for the chairman of the chairperson of the board of directors. Bill?
I nominate Jonathan Edelson as board chair.
Thank you. Do we have a second? Thank you. Are there any other nominations? Is there any discussion?
Jonathan, I assume you'd like to continue on.
I was going to say, if anyone wants to ask me if I accept the nomination, that might be a good idea. Yes, thank you, Bill. I do accept the nomination if elected.
Okay, I'd like to call for the vote. All those in favor of Jonathan Edelson being the board chair? We have 4 yays. All opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, congratulations. My job is done.
Thanks.
I'll hand the meeting over to you.
I never know whether I'm supposed to vote when I'm the one
Well,
nominated. So
whatever.
all right. Well, thank you very much. So next, before we resume the regular order of business, just in case something should happen to me between now and 3 minutes from now, is we need a nomination for the board vice chair. Is there a nomination for the board vice chair?
Nominate Bill McCormick for vice chair.
Okay, I will second that. Are there additional nominations for the board vice chair? Okay, is there any discussion on the board vice chair? Okay,
Bill, do you accept?
Yeah, I'll accept graciously. Thank you. Yes.
all right, that's where I was going. Okay, well, all in favor of selecting Bill McCormack as the vice chair of this year's board? 1, 2, 3, 4. Oppose? Abstain? All right, we'll call it 4-0-0.
Thank you.
Welcome aboard, Bill. I'm looking forward to it.
Me too. We're tag team, Jonathan. We're tag team.
All right, we are going to resume the regular order of business. We have other positions, committees, et cetera, to discuss as we get further into business. But first, we'll take care of some administrative stuff. First up, we have to approve the agenda, the rest of the agenda for tonight's board meeting, our regular business. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Okay, I have a motion from Ginny. I see a second from Bill. Is there discussion of tonight's agenda? Okay, all in favor of approving? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5-0-0. Okay, we also have to approve the minutes from the last board meeting held April 26, 2022. Is there a motion to approve those minutes? Okay, I think I saw Warren, and I'm going to take Bill as the second. Any discussion of the April 26 minutes? All right, all in favor of approving? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5-0-0. Thank you. Okay, next we're going to move on to resident remarks. If you are a resident and would like to make remarks to the board, we give you 3 minutes per resident. And I'll just put on my little phone timer here. If you could use the raise hand feature in Zoom, which I think is down there in the reactions. If you click the reactions button, click raise hand, I will just call on you in the order. Or if that's not working, I'll call on you as you wave at me on the video screen. So I see Catherine Schatz, and I don't think I see anyone else. Anyone else for remarks? Going once, going twice. All right, I will turn it over to you, Ms. Schatz, for 3 minutes.
Good evening. I'm Catherine Schatz. I've been a resident, happily resident of Oakland Mills since 1980. And I'm just trying to make the board aware that there's been a real problem of excessive speeding in Oakland Mills. And it's been going on for over a year. The cars are racing on Farewell Road, especially Stevens Forest Road, where I hear them, Camelback and Thunder Hill. The most of the time we feel like the noise is just so loud. The police and the village board have been made aware of this quite often. I personally called the police like in March and asked them to please check it, send people at night, because it seems to happen at any time from 10 to 11 till midnight, where the racing is, they're coming down Stevens Forest and going around the circle with lightning speed. My other thing was concerned was that there was a boy this past year that was actually hit by a speeding car on Stevens Forest. And so the danger is very, very great. The police presence and cameras activated by speeding cars, the problems with the speed detectors, I spoke to the police and he said that the problem are their batteries operated and they don't always know if the batteries have run down and they cannot be recharged. So I'm hoping as a resident that they can come up with some better like speed cameras that will flash and help us remind us of the importance of playing, doing slow, driving slowly in residential areas where there's 3 major schools here. So that's pretty much all it. The police I'm not blaming the police, they may be well aware of this problem, but maybe they have more important issues that they're attending to. But I want the board to realize this is an ongoing every night problem. Even on Stevens Forest, I live off of Farewell and I hear them like really loud, like things are backfiring. And it seems to be always several of them, not just one person that's doing this. So I just want to make people aware of it, and thank you for letting me share.
Thank you. Just to share, we are, unfortunately very aware, and we had the police in for their annual meeting with us at a board meeting in, I've lost track of date, Sandy. Was that late March or early April? It was in one of the past 4 or so board meetings.
Yeah, it was probably, recently.
Yeah, and we did talk to them about that, and among the potential solutions they shared, where they were actually going to shift some times that they were patrolling our streets to try to catch different people at different times. We can look into the speed camera. This is the first I've heard about the speed camera program having issues with faulty equipment. Now, one of the limits in Howard County when it comes to speed cameras, and that's by Howard County law, is that they can only be placed in school zones. So there's a relatively limited area and they're only functional during school hours. So even if the speed cameras are functioning, they're not going to do anything for us at 10 or 11 o'clock at night. And there would have to be basically new legislation throughout Howard County to change that.
Wow.
We are also aware of the child who was hit in the crosswalk at Stevens Forest on the way to school, and quite honestly, fairly disappointed with the response so far. It took a long time, but just last week they finally repainted the crosswalk there so you can see it. But everything else we've suggested to the traffic department, they've either basically swatted down or not really acknowledged, including things like putting a lead interval on that light so that when you press the button to cross, all the lights stay red for a little bit, rather than the lights on Stevens Forest going red and the lights on Kilimanjaro instantly turning green, where cars can then turn into pedestrians crossing the crosswalk. So we'll stay on top of that. Ginny?
Sorry. Yeah, Catherine, as Jonathan was saying, we are aware of it. Actually, it got pretty serious on Broken Land Parkway between Cradle Rock and Stevens Forest Road, where the cars, when a police car pulled somebody over that was doing that, cars surround, the other guy's cars surrounded the police officers. So they can be, Owen Brown Village Board was pretty upset about that. So they can be difficult. It's been a big problem at Thunderhill Road and 175 with a community that lives right next to it. But I didn't understand what you said about the speed cameras breaking down or batteries not working, or what was that?
Well, the officer said that they can't be recharged. And when they go down, apparently they don't know when they go down. So they may be there for quite a while and not working. This was, I know there's one in front of Jeffers Hill.
Okay,
He
well,
also said the batteries were $500 to change them. And it was suggested that perhaps they could be solar powered so that they would always be recharging and always working.
that's what I was thinking. It shouldn't be $500. Just buy things that have the solar power and they will charge their own battery. That's not rocket science, I don't think, but I'm not an engineer. I agree. So
I actually,
maybe that's something we can suggest to the police. What's the issue there?
I actually thought the county contracted for those cameras. I figured it would be part of the contract that the cameras are working, but maybe they don't. I know they contract, or I thought they contracted for the red light cameras. I thought it was the same for the speed cameras.
Yeah, well, maybe we can find out. Yeah,
Yeah.
'cause that's a very poor excuse to say, well, the batteries die and it costs 500 to replace them. We don't know they're dead and all that. I mean, that's ridiculous. I think we can do better than that. I guess I agree that I just don't understand why they cannot put these up in other locations than school zones. If it requires a law change, they should do it. You know, once you solve the problem in one neighborhood, let's face it, they're going to go to another neighborhood. So then you just start working over there. So, but at least you catch some of them. I don't get it. Okay, thanks.
Bill?
Real
then
quick,
Rebecca?
Catherine, I agree with you. And Jonathan's given you the background on everything that the board has done in terms of working with the police and our county council to try to get legislation at the county level to allow speed cameras everywhere in the county. Because what I'd like to see is cameras everywhere in the county. And if you're doing 6 to 10 miles an hour over the limit, you get a ticket at a certain fine. And if it's 11 to 15, it's a bigger ticket, bigger fine. 15 and over, it's a huge fine. And I'd get everybody. And pretty soon Howard County would be a much safer county, but it takes guts to pass the law and then the money to get the cameras out there and enforce it. And laws unenforced aren't laws. And the bad guys are going to get away with it until the good guys have the guts to go out and get the bad guys. Period. End of story. So Catherine, we're doing everything that we can as a board to make things better. I agree with you 100%. Thanks.
Thanks, Bill. Rebecca?
Just real quick, Catherine, I feel for you. My whole family was woken up last night by the roaring cars. I didn't hear them, but everybody else did. So I feel for you. I know.
The other thing, can I speak? Can you hear me?
Yes.
There was a couple on right in broad daylight. They were on Camelback. They lived there and they were walking their dog. And the speeder was going so fast up the hill that they had to jump onto the sidewalk not to be hit. This was just a month ago. And my best friend lives on Camelback and knows that to be the truth. So I guess my question is, maybe later on, Jonathan can explain, is this something that has to go to Howard County or the Annapolis law to be changed?
This is Howard County. Other Maryland jurisdictions have other laws around speed cameras, so that it's a local issue. And I'm looking at Camelback right now. I live right off of Camelback, so I know exactly what you're talking about. I've actually taken down tags and called the police in the past when I see cars speeding through there, you know, hoping that they actually live somewhere in the neighborhood and they'll be parked and the police can find them, but I don't know if it's ever done anything.
Last question. I was going to contact Calvin Ball. I don't know how aware he is, but he does live in Oakland Mills. So if sometime after the meeting, they could share with me if that would be fruitful. If he can put more pressure on the changing the law.
Yeah, my personal opinion is the more people our elected officials hear from, the better. So I would certainly encourage it. It certainly can't do any harm.
Exactly.
He could also ask that, I mean, the executive can ask that a law be heard, be sponsored by the chair of the council. So he has a right to do that. He could do that if he wanted and ask them to introduce the law, his law. So change.
Warren, did you have a hand up?
Did.
Sorry,
Catherine,
Jonathan.
I also feel for you. We've been fighting to slow down the speeds on Stevens Forest for a long time. I would also suggest you reach out to Opal Jones' office. He's our county person.
County council.
He's county councilman person. So he can, he might be able to help as well.
Thank you.
Sure.
Appreciate it speaking. Thank you for the honor to speak.
Thank you. Thank you for joining us and for speaking. Okay, we are going to move on to new business. The first item of new business, odd as it sounds, is validation of the 2022 Oakland Mills election results. And that probably sounds odd since we didn't really have what most people would consider an election. However, our amended bylaws do say that otherwise qualified candidates in an uncontested election are considered elected. And we had 5 candidates for 7 board seats for the village board, 1 candidate for 1 seat on the Columbia Council to represent Oakland Mills. So it was uncontested. So all we really need to do is we need a motion to confirm that the 5 board members and the 1 Columbia Council representative member were elected according to our bylaws and articles of incorporation. And then, of course, a second and a vote, and we will have certified the 2022 election. Is there a motion to certify? All right, motion from Bill. I see a second from Rebecca. Any discussion? Okay, all in favor of certifying? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 0, 0. Okay, now we're going to get into the part of the year where we run through a bunch of stuff. We're going to do nominations and reestablishment of committees and nomination of committee chairs, etc. So just to walk you through, there are certain things we need. The Oakland Mills Village Board, in addition to being the village board and running the business of the Oakland Mills Community Association, is also ultimately responsible for the administration and enforcement of our covenants. And as such, when we're discussing issues dealing with covenants, we meet as the same board, but as the architecture committee of the board. And we have someone who presides over that committee, who is the architecture chair. That person also normally receives recommendations from the residential architecture committee and the non-resident NRRAC. Sandy, I'm going to screw it up. The
Residential Architecture Advisory Committee.
Architecture Advisory Committee, NRAAC, on changes to both residential and commercial properties in Oakland Mills. And that chairperson is then usually the person who takes those recommendations, considers the proposal, and ultimately determines whether the proposal will be approved as submitted, approved with modifications, or denied. And then any kind of appeals from a resident or from a commercial owner would come to our full board, sitting as the architecture committee. So first thing we need to do is we need to appoint members to our architecture committee. As I mentioned, usually the board itself also
No,
sits
actually, the first thing was the chair.
I'm sorry, the chair. First thing we need to do is appoint or take nominations for an architecture committee chair. Are there nominations or volunteers for the architecture committee chair? Going once, going twice. Okay, we have to have someone who is available to act as the chair of the architecture committee, even if a current member of the board does not want to do that, full time as a permanent position. So if we're unable to find a nominee to chair the architecture committee at this meeting, since we actually have architecture items on the agenda even today, and of course the RAC is going to continue hearing proposals since it's spring and it's a busy season. The alternative to having a single chair to the architecture committee would be to have basically a rotation of board members acting as the chair of the architecture committee. What I would propose is that we take the 4 members of the board who are not already chairing the board. So it probably sounds odd that I'm letting myself off the hook, except the chair of the board has a bunch of other stuff and has to preside over the regular meeting, and basically do a quarterly rotation until and unless someone either on the board or someone in the future joining the board raises their hand and says, I'd like to be nominated to chair the architecture committee, because as I said, the architecture committee, even though it's the same as the board, the architecture committee will have to meet at times to consider appeals as well as referrals to CA on covenant violation cases. And we will need someone standing in as the RAC meets to ensure that after the RAC meeting with a resident proposing to alter their property, there is someone on the board representing the architecture committee who is able to review all of that in consultation with Mike, and either sign off with the approval or the denial of the alteration. So one more time, I'll ask if there are any nominees, any volunteers to chair it for the year. Otherwise, we're going to go with a rotation for a while. And I'm going to start asking, we need to
I can
come up
give
with
you
an order.
the quarters are May, June, and July. That would be starting now. August, September, October, November, December, January, February, March, April.
So we would do it for an entire quarter, not,
Yeah, I think that's important for continuity because applications can be tabled up, up to 2 or 3 times based on when we get it in. So to have someone who's familiar, I think that would be best for continuity of reviewing applications and for our covenant staff.
gotcha. I volunteer for the second quarter, not the first one.
Okay, so that's September,
Okay.
October, August, September, October. Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you. Anyone interested in the first quarter?
I guess I'll do the first quarter.
All right,
Perfect.
thank you, Jerome.
November,
All right.
December, January.
I'll do that.
Bill?
Yeah, give it to Warren.
Warren?
can take that. Mhm.
All right,
Okay.
I'll do that
Okay,
one.
Warren. Okay, and then we'll do Bill. Thank you. Okay.
Thank you all.
All right.
Can I just say something? That
Yes.
Jerome's starting out, so you've been on the racks, you kind of know the routine, but between now and whenever, feel free to talk to me and Mike and Karina because it also deals with property concerns. And then as your quarter is coming up, please contact me a few weeks in advance so you're ready to go at the start of the quarter. One last thing is all of the meetings are recorded, so I can send you all links of the meetings so you can get to see what they're like in advance. I'm done. Thank you all.
All right, and the other fun thing and the other reason for excluding the board chair is that the board chair generally fills the role of substitute. So if there is that occasional, post-RAC meeting period where the person who is the architecture chair in the past or who is covering the quarter is not available, the board chair normally steps in and reviews everything and signs off on things. In fact, that's what I did for April while Lynn was away as the outgoing architecture chair. So if as you're covering your quarter, if you're going to be unavailable, just please make sure to let me know in advance so that I can plan around that and make sure I'm available to cover things. Okay. Now that we have an architecture rotation, I'm going to go back to saying what I was going to say before. Normally, everyone on the board also serves on the architecture committee.
So I have a
So,
question.
yes,
Do we need to have a nomination and vote on that, on the, how we're doing the chair thing then?
I don't, I don't think we do, because we're not actually nominating anyone. We're basically going to cover lacking a nomination.
Okay,
Yeah. Now, if someone, during their quarter says, I really love this and I want to do it, they can come back and say, can we reopen that nomination for architecture chair? I volunteer. And then we can do a nomination and vote.
Sounds good.
Okay. All right. So now, normally all of the serving board members are also appointed to the architecture committee. So, pending any disagreement with that, is there a motion to nominate the 5 new members of the village board? Jonathan Edelson, Bill McCormack Jr., Jerome Rollerson, Warren Wortman, Rebecca Bryant, to the Oakland Mills Architecture Committee.
So moved.
All right, motion from Rebecca, second from Bill. Okay, is there any discussion? All right, all in favor? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 0, 0. All right, we have an architecture committee. Okay. This is always a strange one, and Sandy always has to explain it.
Yeah, and it's a correction to the minutes, to the agenda, which I just saw. We have to appoint a quorum of our board members. We have to select a few that actually the Columbia Association board will appoint you as members of the architecture committee. It's a formality that they get to appoint the majority of the members, because we have a covenant relationship with CA as far as legal covenant issues. And so the agenda says appoint 4, it's 3.
Okay.
Ideally, it's the 3 members, if you know that your house is in compliance or will be very soon. It's just a formality of me sending your names to CA and that your house is in compliance. So this is where you can jump in and say, I'm ready to go now, or, we can send it in a few weeks if you think that'll happen very soon.
All right, well, if we have 3, I know I have a compliance letter, so I can be one of the
Okay.
3.
Did anyone else get something from Carrie yet? Rebecca, did you hear from her yet?
Not yet, but I'm happy to put my name there. 'cause
Yeah, I'm pretty
I'll
sure she
get
just
it
didn't get
soon.
to do it. And one more,
I can't. I've got something I need to fix.
right? Warren, Bill,
I fixed my stuff today, so
you should, yeah, so just let Carrie know. Can I put your name down?
sure.
Okay, thanks. There's nothing that's involved in any other thing than me sending your names and the bonus that you get. No, I'm only
Oh,
kidding.
yeah, sure. And I don't even think we need to vote, because that's administrative, right?
Yeah,
That's really
right.
CA's business. Okay,
Right.
all
Those
right.
are my
So
favorite volunteer opportunities.
it'll be Rebecca, Warren, and me volunteering to do absolutely nothing.
Mm-hmm.
It's the kind of volunteering I like to do.
Right.
All right. So next up, we need to appoint the 2022-2023 residential architecture committee. And this is just a start. In the past, we've had other people interested in joining, so this is not set in stone. We might get new interest.
We
Actually, Sandy,
did.
I see another mistake in the agenda. David Smith and Kay Wisniewski are current RAC members. Lynn would be a new RAC member because she was
It
on our
doesn't
board.
matter. Oh, okay. So just put it, just take out the word current.
Yeah. So the nominees for the residential architecture committee, these are people who have expressed interest, are David Smith and Kay Wisniewski, who would be returning, and Lynn Engelke, who would be joining the RAC. Is there a motion to appoint those 3 to the RAC?
I'll make the
Okay.
motion.
Warren, I'm sorry, Jerome makes the motion. I saw Warren's hand on his cheek and thought he was motioning. Is there a second? Okay, Bill seconds. All right, any discussion? Okay, all in favor? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 0, 0. Okay, Next up, we have not the 2019 to 2020, but the
Oh,
2022 to
gee.
2023.
How did I not catch that, or anyone else? who I
It's
sent
funny
this
how
to?
you catch it in real time when you send it. You read through it and don't notice it. And then as I go to
Yeah.
read it out loud, I go, wait a minute. The 2022-2023 non-resident architecture advisory committee, which is for the commercial properties, as I described before. The current and proposed returning members are Jervis Dorton, Phil Engelke, Dave Smith, and Valerie Smith. Is there a motion to approve those 4 returning members to the NRAC? Okay, I see a motion from Warren, and I saw Bill's hand go up as a second. Any discussion of the NRAC nomination? Okay, all in favor? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 0, 0. Okay. Next up, odd as it
Yeah, I get
seems,
it.
since she opened our meeting for us,
I-
our bylaws actually say that we need to elect one person to be the village manager each year. So at this point, we need nominees to be the village manager. Are there any nominations to be our village manager?
I nominate Amy.
Bill?
I nominate Sandy Cedarbaum.
Okay, is there a second to that nomination? Okay, Jerome seconds. Okay, is there any discussion? Okay, all in favor of Sandy Cedarbaum. Look, I don't even need to finish the sentence. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 are in favor. 5, 0, 0. Congratulations, Sandy. You're stuck with us again.
My pleasure.
Okay. Next up, we have our OMCA standing committees. And some of these committees were functioning over the last year. Some of them, the chair is no longer on the village board. So I'm just going to run through them and see if we have nominations or volunteers to chair each of these standing committees. And if not, we will, again, like the other, continue to seek them. These do not need a rotational. If no one on the board is interested in chairing that, then the committee basically goes dormant for a while until we have someone on the board who is interested in that area. So first up, we have the OMCA Education Committee. Is there a nomination for the Education Committee chair? Bill volunteered.
No. I mean, a nomination. You've been watching Sandy too much. I nominate Jonathan for Education Committee Chair.
Second that before he withdraws or something.
All right. Are there other nominations?
Are you kidding?
No. Okay, does the nominee accept the nomination? Yes. Okay. Is all in favor of the nominee for the Education Committee? 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, 4, 0, 0. Thank you all very much. Okay, next is the Housing Committee. Do we have a nomination for the Housing Committee? Ginny.
Nominate Bill.
Okay, is there a second on Bill? I'll second Bill. Okay, Rebecca got her hand up before I could finish my sentence. Are there other nominees for the Housing Committee chair? Okay, any further discussion of the Housing Committee? Bill, do you accept the nomination?
Sure do. Thank you.
Okay, all in favor? 1, 2, 3, 4, 0, 0. All right, Bill, congratulations. Okay, Safety and Security Committee liaison and chairperson. That was actually Rena last year, and she's taking at least a year break from the board. But do we have any nominees or anyone interested in being the nominee to chair the Safety and Security liaison? All right, we'll move on from that one for now.
I literally hear crickets.
That might be
Somebody
my
had-
backyard. I'm actually sitting out on my porch because there's noise in the house. So probably that in that awkward silence, my mic picked up the crickets in the backyard. Okay, Public Space Advisory Committee Chair. That was Warren last year. And just for everyone's knowledge and entertainment, public space is basically areas that are open to the public that are not owned by CA and called CA open space. So, roadways, sidewalks, parks, school grounds, things like that. Do we have a volunteer or a nominee for Public Space Committee Chair?
Nominate Warren.
All right. I'll second that. Do we have other nominations? Okay, do we have discussion? Warren, would you accept this nomination?
I would accept.
Okay,
Yes.
all in favor? 1, 2, 3, 4, 0, 0. Okay, next we have the Open Space Advisory Committee Chair. The Open Space Advisory Committee is what we think of as the public spaces that aren't public space. It's actually private space made available to the community courtesy of CA. So this is CA Open Space. So these are our CA paths, our CA fields, our tot lots, our playgrounds, anything that CA has available, for the public, free of charge. Our committee chairs in the last board year were actually co-chairs. It was Bill and it was Gary Whitty. Do we have nominations to chair the Open Space Committee this year?
I nominate the same people,
Okay.
Bill and
Do
Jerry.
we have a second? Okay, we have a
second.
second from Warren. Do we have other nominations?
I just have a question. When are the meetings for that?
I have, excuse me. Gary and I, it's been irregular and has been ground to a halt by CA to a large extent. And we're hoping with changes in the CA board, that we're going to be able to get some progress going forward so that there isn't regularly scheduled, but when we've had issues, we've held them. This past year, I think we didn't have any because we were dealing with CA and the pilot study. And of course, COVID took out a lot of activity with CA and even trying to get stuff done with them. So we'll be very shortly, I'll be talking with Gary very shortly and working on setting one up and agendas, et cetera, now that we have a different team at CA.
Yeah, and not to put Bill and Gary on the spot, but at our next board meeting, John McCoy. I'm looking at Bill, John McCormack. John McCoy is scheduled to come in and talk to us about what to do with the I think it was the outflow pipe, right? It's a bad outflow pipe at the Stevens Forest Pond,
Yeah,
which
he
is
just said
certainly
Stevens Forest Pond.
yeah,
So
certainly. Well, we knew that from that last time he was here. He was talking about that pipe and options for it, which is certainly an open space issue. So that that's an almost immediate example of where we might be looking to the Open Space Committee to advise the board on what they think the best of the possible solutions are. Ginny? Oh,
Yeah.
I guess we are in discussion. I didn't really ask for discussion, but discussion, yes. Okay, we're in discussion. Ginny?
Well, this is kind of a crazy idea, but I had a sense Rebecca may be very interested in this. Is it possible to have 3 people try chairing it?
No, I don't need to chair it. I'm happy just being in the loop.
Yeah, well, is
Bill
it
knows I
possible?
care about that stuff.
Is it possible? Yes, we're in charge here. We get to pick, whomever we want.
Well, that Bill is right. At least my hopes are that Bill's right. That this could be a very interesting year with several of the new board members, which are going to be sworn in or sworn at, whatever, on Thursday night. And I'm really excited. But so I if there's other board members that are interested in getting involved.
Did you say sworn out or sworn at?
I said both.
Okay.
It depends on how you feel about the election.
I seriously thought you said sworn in or sworn at.
I did.
Okay.
It was somewhat of a joke.
Okay. All right. So right now we have nominations of Bill and Gary. We had a maybe nomination of Rebecca, but Rebecca said that's okay. I can just stay up to date on this, right?
Yep.
Okay. We know from some contact already that Gary said if nominated, he would accept this. Bill, would you also accept the nomination?
Yes.
Okay, all in favor? 1, 2, 3, 4, 0, 0. All right, thank you. Okay, We also have a liaison to the BWI Roundtable. The BWI Roundtable has been working primarily the increase in air traffic noise as a result of the implementation of next-gen flight patterns. And if you heard that, that is not a flight. That is one of those loud exhausts going probably across Stevens Forest Road back there. But anyway, so Paul Verchinsky has been representing Oakland Mills basically since that roundtable formed. He has already contacted Sandy and said that he would be interested in continuing if nominated. So is there a nomination of Paul or anyone else to the BWI roundtable?
I'll
Warren?
nominate Paul.
Okay, is there a second to that? All right, any other nominations? Okay, any further discussion? All in favor? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 0, 0. All right. Thank you, Paul. He's not here, but he can watch the recording. Okay, we also have, Oakland Mills can also appoint residents to CA advisory committees. So these are not advisory committees to OMCA. These are advisory committees to CA who take representatives from the villages as appointed by the village boards. In the past, we have had a senior advisory committee representative. Paul Verchinsky did that for many years. He stepped down from that role last year. But if anyone would like to, knows of someone interested and would like to nominate someone to the Senior Advisory Committee to CA, we can take nominations now. You can also go out and recruit friends and neighbors because we can always take nominations later. Rebecca?
How old is senior?
What?
How old
is senior?
I think AARP is taking it at 45 plus now in order to collect money.
That's it?
Yeah. But
45.
Ginny, does CA have a firm definition, or is it?
I don't think so. It's anybody that's interested in senior issues. I always say it should be long-term care issues because you have individuals with disabilities that need long-term care services. And to me, that's the real issue of people that need to be as independent as possible for as long as possible. And what you need to do in order to assure that.
And their meetings, are they purely virtual?
Well, I don't know what Sharon Lee is going to do. Those of you that know Sharon Lee Vogel, she's the chair. They're supposed to meet, well, it's not like a lot of the other committees where they meet on a regular basis and you know their meeting. She has a tendency to change the dates, times, and all of that. But it would be great to get somebody that really cares about, again, I'm putting it as long-term care issues. I'm trying to think of who in Oakland Mills. Okay, you want to hear the results of the Harper's Choice Village Board election?
Yes.
All right, it flashed by quick. If I don't lose you, I will go on my emails. Are you still there, guys?
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, sorry, just, I believe it's Alan Klein by, come on. Okay, I won close vote. It's always been close over there. Holy mackerel. 175 to 173.
Wow.
That's about as close as it can get.
Well, he was 17 ahead in the, then they didn't have the quorum issue. And then, yeah, that is, I think he won against the same person by 7 votes 2 years ago, or maybe it's 2.5 now, to 3 years. So that means we really do have, well, anyway, I won't comment anymore. I will be very,
This is being recorded.
I realize, oh, I shouldn't have announced it then, I guess.
No, I don't care. It was whatever.
It's public information.
Yeah, well, I just got the email, so I thought I'd share.
I'm
All
just
right.
surprised they knew how many votes were cast before the continuation, but that's just me. Okay, move on.
Back to our regularly scheduled business. We were talking about the Senior Advisory Committee to CA. Do we have any nominees?
Yeah, I like your idea, Jonathan, of really talking to people so they get an idea of what's exactly involved. They can read the previous minutes of the board, and get an idea of the time. We are now going to be requiring that the boards have to meet at least quarterly, like the
Mhm.
climate committee that I'm the liaison to meets every month. Watershed committee, I think, meets every month. So there's some that the IMC, the multi-generational, multicultural thing that I'm the liaison to. I'm liaison to the seniors, and it's like whenever, to a certain extent. That's important. There are a lot of issues. So, I like your idea of let's recruit.
Okay, let's recruit.
Give them a
And-
chance to know what it's about.
And usually what we do, like, sometime shortly after this meeting, we usually put out an email, saying, the Oakland Mills Village Board had its first meeting of the year. Here are the elected officers and chairs of committees. And anywhere where we don't have one, Sandy will usually put something like, it could be you, contact the village manager. So we'll also put that out again. Right, Sandy?
Sure.
Rinse and repeat.
Yeah, I'm writing down my to-do list, so yeah. Uh-huh.
All right. CA also has a tennis advisory committee, and we have a longtime representative who has said he would be pleased to serve again if nominated, and that is Jim Alvey, also known as Alvis. So
No, did he say didn't think I'd heard from him yet.
Oh, I thought you said you did. I'm sorry.
No, but I'll double check and I'll just ask him again.
Oh, wait a minute. Let me check my email. I thought you said you did.
I contacted him, but I don't believe I heard back yet.
Oh, maybe that's what it was.
Can we appoint him, and then if we find out,
Sure.
oh, you just go for somebody else and withdraw it, or
Oh yeah, you're right. You're right. You sent me the email from Paul, and in that you said I also contacted Jim but haven't heard back. I remember an email with Paul and Jim, and there was a yes in there, but it wasn't from both of them. Yes, we could nominate pending acceptance since he's not here tonight. Bill?
Yeah, I'll nominate Jim pending acceptance.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second.
All right, I saw a second from Warren. Any additional nominees? Any further discussion? All in favor pending his acceptance? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 0, 0. Okay. Watershed Advisory Committee, for reasons I still don't understand, does
It's
not
just
require
different, yeah.
a reappointment. It's just a different advisory committee.
I mean, it's
it's
set
an
up
appointed
different.
committee. Our representatives have been Bob Marietta with Phil Engelke as an alternate should Bob not be available. And Bob has served us very well. So I think this is more of a ceremonial thing, but I still think we should recognize Bob's service and expect that CA would appoint him for ongoing service.
this is my fault. About a year ago, I thought Dennis and John had explained the charter, and the charter says you have an appointment recommendation, but there's no such thing as an alternate in the charter. And so I saw it on the agenda, and I meant to call you guys. I'm sorry. I apologize to Phil. I shouldn't be just talking about it now, but they're really this. The only thing that comes to the board is your alternate, whomever that is. There is no such thing as an alternate. I know how we got there a couple of years ago, but
Okay.
so anyway, okay.
So if that committee were to meet and for whatever reason Bob weren't available, his seat would just be empty. He couldn't say, I'm going to have Phil fill in for me because I'm out of town.
The charter does not allow for alternates.
Okay.
And actually, Bob, I think, has been there every time, and extra meetings, and virtual at times. There's so many options now with the virtual thing that we have people on vacation calling in,
Okay.
out of their mind. We got a guy Thursday calling from France, Dick Bolton. At least he says he's going to. So, yeah.
Okay. So I don't believe we need a vote since, we don't really send a nominee. I guess, does John appoint them?
Actually, no, the board does, but you do make a recommendation.
Okay,
for
all right.
a
Well, then
fund
let's have a vote on our recommendation then, even though it doesn't necessarily have to be taken. We should make the recommendation.
Right.
So is there a motion to recommend Bob Marietta?
I'll make the motion.
Okay, a motion from Jerome. Is there a second? I see a second from Warren. Any further recommendations? Any further discussion? All in favor? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 0, 0. All right, very good. We're moving on through this thing. That actually brings us to the end of our committees and CA advisory committees and liaisons. Now we have a couple of pieces of business that really, so the previous board approved the budget for this board. That's the way the finances of OMC works. But we have a couple of events that we always vote on at the first board meeting of the year to kick off the fiscal year. And those are the cul-de-sac beautifications and the block parties. And generally what we do is we use proceeds from things like the plant sale to fund these to help beautify Oakland Mills and also build community through the block parties. So the proposal from the village manager, based on her analysis of our finances, is that we put $1,500 into cul-de-sac beautification so that up to 20 cul-de-sacs could apply for $75 per street for beautification of their cul-de-sac islands, which in case you're new to this, cul-de-sac islands are property of the county, but maintained by the residents. Is there a motion to approve that recommendation or adopt that recommendation? Okay, I have a motion from Bill. I have a second from Warren. Discussion? Okay, all in favor? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 0, 0. Very good. We will continue to beautify cul-de-sacs. Okay, block parties. The recommendation from the village manager is that we put $1,125 into a block party fund where there can be $25 for up to 15 streets with 12 or fewer homes, $50 for up to 15 streets with 13 or more homes, or a combination of streets with 13 or more homes. It gets a little complicated
Well, that
because
means
they're
if you live in a townhome community or apartment,
townhome
it's
apartment, right,
$75 or whatever I said, $50. It's
Right.
not like we have 5
Right.
streets and whatever.
right. So $25 for little streets, $50 for big streets, measured in number of residents, not in the length of the street. How's that?
Number of properties.
Well, no, it should be number of residents, because if
No.
we're talking about apartment,
No.
that's one property.
Yeah, but no, it's yeah, but we know it's like a few buildings. It's not counting
okay.
people, it's counting properties on the street.
Okay. Well, like, okay. So for example, if Verona South wanted to have a block party, that's one building, but we
It's
give
a
them
few
$50,
buildings.
right?
It's a few
that's right.
buildings.
Even Verona South is. I'm
Okay,
thinking that
move
they
on.
connect, but they don't.
Do we
Okay.
have a vote on this yet?
All right.
I make the
Is there a
motion
motion to approve? All right. Is there a second? All right. Any discussion? All in favor? 1, 2, 3, 4. Whoa, Rebecca really jumped back in there for the vote. 500. All right. We have cul-de-sacs and block parties approved. All right. Oakland Mills can party again this year. Okay, we're on to the board chair report. I guess that's me. So a couple of things. Obviously, the returning members of the board know that we decided to take our concerns about CA's use of its attorney to speak on behalf of the villages or make determination about what is in the village's legal documents to the CA board in open meeting, because the last time we did that privately, we didn't get a timely response, nor did we get really any acknowledgement of what we were asking. I would, well, since I was there and the one getting, responded to, I would say that it was not very well received by CA's president or attorney. I, personally was disappointed with the answer because it really didn't acknowledge the concerns. In fact, in my mind, it sort of confirmed what I was saying. It was, basically, how dare you come here and complain? You take what we say and we don't work for you. So, I think, with the new CA board coming in, with the new OMCA board, my recommendation is we have a little more discussion of this, probably not at this meeting. We probably need to get Jerome familiar with what we're talking about here. We need to get the new CA board, seated. And I think there's still more to say on this subject. I don't want to dwell on what's happened in the past, but I also don't want the past to be predictive of the future. And I don't, once might be an anomaly, twice is the beginning of a trend. What was the line from the movie Major League? We won one, now we've won two, win another one, and that's called a streak. I don't want it to happen a third time. And I think we should talk about that and what we might want to do before we get on a streak with these things happening. So that's my report out on that. I would encourage you to watch the video. I know Sandy sent it to everyone if you haven't seen it. Last week, I testified on behalf of the board at the Board of Education capital hearing for Oakland Mills Middle and Oakland Mills High renovations. And you all saw the testimony. The message was basically, thank you for finally acknowledging that this needs to be done. Now stay the course, work with the county officials and the state officials to get the funding. So there will be a lot of work to do over the next year or so, because remember that middle school is supposed to start in fiscal 24. So it won't be very long. It'll be this fall where they're starting to do the initial hearings on the fiscal 24 capital and operating budgets. So we'll be involved in that. We did get a little bit of a shout out in the Howard County Times and Columbia Flyer. A reporter wrote an article about the Board of Education hearing and quoted part of our testimony. So that was nice. Hopefully that'll be in the print version Thursday, but if you want to see it now, it is available online if you go to the Times and Flyer online. Let's see, other board chair items. Just an update on how we're going, how we're thinking we're going to operate this board year. We are really hoping that we can start getting back together soon for those who want to do meetings in person at the other barn. Of course, we're also keeping an eye on what's happening with COVID numbers and variants and all that fun stuff. We've actually learned a lot from being virtual. There are several good things about being virtual. We think it's given some residents more opportunity to join us and speak with us if they're, it can be sometimes challenging to get out to the other barn, especially on those short days of the year where the meeting starts well after dark and ends well after dark. We also have benefited from the ability to not just record audio, but record video and publish those. So, anyone interested in our business who can't attend live is now able to go on demand to YouTube and pull up any meeting and see what we discussed in addition to reading the minutes. So what we're working toward is hybrid. And we're not ready yet. We don't quite have the kind of money that, the county council, Board of Education, even CA has to, do some of the fancy stuff they're doing yet, but we have purchased equipment and we don't have an IT staff. So we do have someone coming in to help set up that equipment. We're going to set up a separate network just for that in the other barn to ensure we have the bandwidth to stream meetings out and stream participants in. We have a TV mounted on the wall so that people in attendance at the other barn can see what we're seeing on computer screens. And once we have the network and everything set up, I've volunteered to be quasi IT support. I'm going to come in and meet with Sandy and figure out how we can arrange cameras and microphones and set up the room so that we can successfully have hybrid meetings. So look for more news on that soon. We're really hoping to be able to start using the other barn for these meetings again, but not lose some of what we gained by also being able to stream these and interact with our residents virtually if they can't attend in person. And unless there are any other questions for me, I thank you. I really appreciate your confidence. I appreciate the nomination, Bill. I appreciate the vote for me to continue on. And just can't thank you enough. And I will work hard as always. All right, if there are no questions for me, I'm going to hand it off to Ginny for the Columbia Council representative report.
Thank you, Jonathan and board members. First, I want to congratulate Jonathan for his presentation. There also was a short presentation from Ms. Anderson from the Hickory Ridge Village Board, also being concerned about what had happened with CA's reaction to how to use the CA votes and some of the concerns there. So I think it's, I would like to see more boards do the same thing and pay attention to that and react. It's important that you know about things happening. I think that was the real message is, hey, if you're looking at our material, tell us you're doing that. Share it with us, because also share the interpretation, because it could be we disagree with you and that isn't really fair. And also give us a chance to respond. But I think this was somewhat of a hasty get it together. And well, I won't say any more about what I think really was happening here, but thank you for doing that. I really appreciate it. And so did a lot of board members. Some board members.
No, thank you. Oh, can I add one more thing, Ginny? I'm sorry, I meant to say this. After that testimony, the chairs, and I think they're continuing chairs because they have different election cycles of the Long Reach Village Board reached out to me about that and said, basically we agree with the sentiment. Maybe we can work together on, improving this relationship or figuring out what to do. Don't know if all villages agree, but those are the two that have contacted me to date. Ms. Anderson from Harper's Choice also contacted me, but she was contacting me as an individual, not on behalf of her board. So, I responded and I said, yeah, that sounds good, but I didn't commit because I didn't know if I would be the chair of the board this time around.
Jonathan, Long Reach and what other village?
Owen Brown,
Oh, okay.
Long Reach and Owen Brown. So
Oh, okay.
our two immediate neighbors here on the east side of 29. So, now that I am back in that position, I am going to reach back out and say, okay, let's get together and meet. When the board chairs meet, either as a group of 10 or as a subgroup, we're not a decision-making body. We bring back what we discuss to our boards, and then our boards decide how they want us to proceed. So I'll reach back out to them and say, I'm back, and see if we can
Good.
get together and discuss this a little more, and see if other board chairs or other members of other boards want to join us.
I'm pleased to hear that, because there are going to be a lot of issues that we really want to work with the boards on, some very, very serious things. The new board will be sworn in, or whatever happens, on Thursday, the 12th. And there'll be an election of the chair and vice chair. So we'll see who will be in those roles in terms of leading the board. That could be interesting. Unfortunately, one of the board members is on a river cruise in France, but he claims he's going to call in. There's like a 7-hour difference. I hope that works. And another one is chairing the Board of Appeals and may make it there late, which is unfortunate, but this is his last day. He's then resigning from the Board of Appeals. So that's kind of a shame, but I think we, in my opinion, we have an excellent board. I think you're going to see a lot of priorities, and I'd be very interested in hearing from this board what you think are the major issues that we should be looking at, separate from the budget, okay? And then in regards to the budget, how you would like the budget process done, period, differently. Certainly, I feel differently from what happened last year, but how would you like it? What do you want? And I'd like to start on those things now. I don't want to wait until we only get direction from the staff. We want that too, but I'd also like to get some feedback from you guys. So that could be really helpful. And then I'll tell you what we see as some priorities, because you do have 10 board members and a lot of them have their own special things they want to work with. So we got to juggle all of this in order to accomplish anything. And I'm big on, as you know, subcommittees or task forces, whatever you want to call it, but something that has a specific goal in mind, what the process is and how it involves the community. So to give feedback to the board, I feel strongly about that. And that's what I've been talking about the last couple of board meetings, is we can improve on that. And so there's a lot of issues, but I think we're going to have to break down, in my opinion anyway, into work groups in order to accomplish something. So that's, I'm excited. Not hysterical. I'm excited.
Any questions for Ginny? Well, Ginny, thank you. You have a long history of serving Oakland Mills very passionately and very well. And I know, you know, I know when you go on the CA board, you know, there is that tension between, you know, the village and CA as the corporation. And I think you handle that very well. You know, you never forget where you're from while you're also serving, you know, CA and helping CA manage its interest. And, you know, sometimes what's, you know, sometimes what's good for the village is not good for CA and vice versa. And I think you navigate that very well.
Oh, thank you, Jonathan. Thanks. Means a lot. Thanks.
Bill?
Okay.
I'd just like to add thank you to Ginny for stepping up and doing the job again this year. Time-wise, it's a huge commitment. And then there's a lot of energy, I'll leave it at that, you put out to make it all happen. So I appreciate it very much. Thanks so much.
Well, I think I'm lucky to have a fantastic board last year and a fantastic board this year. So that helps a lot, quite frankly. But thanks, guys. Have fun.
Thank you. Okay, Sandy, we're ready for the manager's report.
Okay, last week we had our plant sale and many of you volunteered. Warren, Jonathan, Rebecca was there, Ginny was there, Pat was there. We had a great turnout from the community. Yards Alive was had an amazing amount of plant giveaways. Howard Echo Works was there. So it was despite the rain, it was good. We had some plants left over, and there's just a few right now. Carrie Wenholtz went to the Fine Arts boosters meeting, and I said, tell them to remember how much we gave them in donations. And she came back and they all bought plants that she paid, you know, and paid her for plants. So, you know, little by little they're going out the door, but it's a fun event. So next year it'll again be the first Saturday in May, and it hopefully won't rain. Thank you everyone who helped, and a big thanks. Amy was there helping, and Brigida organized it all, and her kids were there. So it's a great family affair. My husband was there. It was a lot of fun. We have fully staffed our staff, so we'll be sending out information to the new staff. Starting this coming week, we have Friday night, Saturday night, Sunday night events, and so it'll be pretty busy at the other barn. The past 2 weeks, we've donated the room. Well, they pay for our setup, but to the Oakland Mills High School for AP testing. So they've been in the building. They'll finish up Thursday, and that always works great. You don't even know they're there because you have to be really quiet. We have a free concert in the courtyard for little ones next Friday, the 20th at 11 o'clock. So we're sending that promotion out and letting people know. It's our kind of welcome back to Lively Arts, but because of COVID, we still wanted to be outside only, and it's free. So hopefully we'll get the word out this week. We've already had it out. And we have our once every 3-year audit of our financials, and that will be July 11th to 15th. And other than that, everything is going very good. A lot of, it's a really busy time for Karina, because all of a sudden you see that grass is not mowed, and other issues that are coming up, but she handles it, you know, like a pro. So she's working her way through all that. And I think that's it for me. I will be out of the area. I'll give you my dates in an email coming up. So don't look for me, and I'll send you an email with all that. And I think that's it. Jonathan, if you don't
Sandy,
mind.
Do you want to go right into the 2 architecture items? since
Yeah,
we've
I
kind of been putting the,
I was just gonna say, if you don't
Okay.
mind, I can do that.
Yeah. Otherwise, we would be putting our rotational chair very much on the spot tonight.
Right. Okay, so I sent everyone two 15-day final notices and a resolution. So what happens is you will vote tonight to send a 15-day letter if you choose to these two properties. And at the same time, you're voting for us that if 15 days later, we have not heard from the property owner in a resolution forward way that a violation forward way, we will send a resolution from our board to the Columbia Association Architectural Resource Committee, asking them to engage in legal action on our behalf with these properties. So if we do it both in one night, we don't have to wait to come back at another meeting. So the first one is 5462 Delphinium Court, and storage of bulk items around the property, not limited to boxes, trash cans, furniture, tools, ladders, tree stumps that need to be to ground level and replaced per their architectural approval application, seasonal yard maintenance, not limited to mowing, weeding, trimming, bushes, trees as needed. It's an ongoing property, and it's got to go back to CA. It's been there before. They clean it up. It gets messy. And it's just really a burden on the neighborhood. So that is the first one, asking for a motion to send a 15-day final notice to the property owners at 5462 Delphinium Court.
Okay, it looks like we have a motion from Bill. Is there a second? Second from Warren. Any discussion on that property? Okay,
So
all in favor?
I walk by that. I have a friend, my route goes right by that house, and it is regularly a mess. So I think it's well worthwhile that we take action.
Okay. All in favor? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 0, 0. Okay.
Okay, then the second part of it is to send to the CA Architectural Resource Committee a resolution asking them to consent to that we consent to join CA as a plaintiff and file suit on our behalf in above matters, which I read to you before. Request CA place a flag on the annual charge account for this property and note the existence of violations, and request CA deny access to and use of Columbia Association facilities and programs. So again, I would need a motion and a vote.
And to clarify, this would be sent after the 15
After
days.
15 days, right?
Okay, there's a motion from Bill. Is there a second? A second from Warren. Discussion? All right, all in favor? 1, 2, 3, 4. Looks like Rebecca stepped away. 4, 0, 0.
Okay, thank you. The next is an address is 6207 Stevens Forest Road. And this involves an unapproved fence, unapproved yard decorations, flamingos, large stone lions, stone pineapple decoration, and a location, a large stone pineapple decoration, and then the location of white lion statues by the front. They have been applications that were heard by the RAC and AC and denied. They had been given an opportunity to appeal. We never received any appeal from them. So those are violations that remain on this property. So if anyone has a discussion on it.
All right, is there a motion to approve issuance of the 15-day notice to
I do have a question.
6207 Stevens Forest? Oh,
Jerome has a question.
And we've gone, being that I was previously on the RAC board, we went round and round about this. What exactly is the regulation about lawn statues? It was said that it couldn't be any more than 12 inches. I asked, where is that written?
It's not a regulation. It's a covenant violation that it was not in keeping with the look of the neighborhood. I forget which one. I don't have the covenants in front of us.
Mm-hmm.
But we look at the guidelines for guidelines. But when we deny an application, we have to tell them which covenant it is a violation of. And I forget the number, and we can send it tomorrow. But it was, I think it was inharmonious with the character of the neighborhood or this property or something, and that we cite. So we can't cite the size or look of the statute, it's citing what covenant it's in violation of.
Okay,
And that's what's in the letter, because legally it has to be a covenant that they're violating, that not just our guidelines.
okay, if you can send that to me tomorrow. I know you're busy, but when you have
Yeah.
time.
Okay, I'll have to look up the application to know what Mike wrote on it.
Okay, I think isn't that the one that you sent out?
I didn't send the application. I just sent, I don't think I sent the application, but I can find it in our database and send it to you because I know it's in our database.
Okay,
Here, hang on.
To send her.
I'll check my emails just to make sure you didn't send it. 15-day.
Yeah, I don't feel, I didn't, because Karina wouldn't have given that to me to send.
Okay.
I just know it because I uploaded it into DocuWare.
yeah,
And
my
it's
only
a
concern
covenant.
was that it's a slippery slope when you're talking about harmonious with the neighborhood. That was always the problem that I
And they
had.
actually had an opportunity to appeal it. And we've had other statutes that, art pieces of art that were
Mhm.
denied by prior RAC committees and ACs that were appealed. And actually, when they appealed it, the architecture committee approved it.
Okay,
So there's always that opportunity for another body to hear it. And they did not appeal it.
okay, thank you.
Yeah, but I'll send it to you. So Jonathan, go back to you.
Was the now that Jerome raised that question, it's interesting because some of that is the statutes, but the fence, wasn't the lack of approval on the well, did they apply for the fence or
Yes,
did the fence just go up?
I think they applied for it, right? I don't believe they submitted a site plan that's required by
Okay.
That was the
RAC.
issue. They didn't submit a site plan. They just put on the application they wanted to put up a fence. So it was voted that they didn't make a decision on it so that they could provide the site plan, and he never did. And then while we were waiting for the site plan to be submitted, we drove by, a couple people drove by, I was one of them, and we saw that the fence was already up.
But it was really denied because of lack of information, which is also one of the covenants.
Okay.
Exactly.
Failure to
Okay.
provide accurate information.
Okay, I just since we're talking about it on the record, I wanted to make sure if it were true that it's clear that there's a different covenant violation when it comes to the fence versus the
Right.
decorations.
Right.
Okay. Okay, is there a motion to approve? Did I already ask for a motion? I forgot now. Is there a motion to approve the 15-day? Okay, I see Rebecca with a motion. I'll take Bill as a second. Any further discussion? Okay, all in favor? 1, 2, 3, 4. Oppose? Abstain? Okay, 4-0-1. Okay, is there a motion to approve the letter to CA, pending a non-response from the resident to the 15-day letter? Okay, I have a motion from Bill. Is there a second? Anyone to second? I have a second from Rebecca. Any discussion? Okay, all in favor? 1, 2, 3, 4. Oppose? Abstain? 4-0-1. Okay, thank you very much. Jerome is first up in our rotation, right?
Yes.
I'm trying to remember the beginning of the meeting. Okay, so what will happen next is Sandy will send these letters to us, and we have electronic signature capabilities through an Adobe contract that Sandy has.
Okay.
And you'll sign the line for the architecture chair. I'll sign the line for the board chair, and then Sandy and Karina will make sure they get sent off appropriately.
I do have a different question, a sidebar question. Being on the board, they sent out the compliance letters. Transparency, I got dinged for a couple of things. I have to submit the application for one of them. I can't approve or disapprove my own application. So how are we going to do that so that it's legal?
That, well, as I was saying earlier, that's where that's where I can step in the absence of the architecture chair. So I could do that, or if I'm unavailable, really any member of the board can do that because we appointed ourselves to be the architecture committee.
Okay,
Right.
that's the only question I had.
Okay. Yeah, that'll work out fine.
All right. And by the way, again, just for the record, we do have, and this is available on our website, we do have a grace period for board members to get into compliance. So board members can serve on the board for a certain period while they're getting their properties in compliance. So it's perfectly fine for you to be first in rotation to chair the architecture committee. It's perfectly fine for you to sign off on this letter.
Okay,
Thanks.
Okay.
That's it.
So do we have any committee reports for any of our newly reappointed committee chairs? No committee reports. All right. Then I think we can go right into the board bulletin board. Amy, do you have anything interesting to add for the board's information?
Why do I always get picked on first? It happens at school too. I always get picked on. I don't. I just look forward to serving with everybody for the next year. So excited.
Fantastic. All right, Sandy.
Nothing. Look forward to another good year.
All right, Ginny.
No, nothing. Thank you.
Okay, Warren.
Nothing here.
All right, Jerome.
yep, nothing for the group.
Rebecca.
Just one thing. To follow up on Sandy's report about the plant sale. Yards Alive was there. We gave away, we didn't count because we were constantly getting new plants in and out all day. As soon as the table seemed to clear off, somebody else would bring boxes. I mean, people were not bringing a couple plants. They were bringing boxes and boxes of plants. And then they'd fill our table back up. And it was amazing. So we estimate we gave away between 800 and 900 plants.
Wow.
Wow.
Which was really awesome. And we connected with a lot of people that we wouldn't have connected with. So I thank Sandy and Brigida for allowing us to piggyback on their well-known event. It was a little awkward with Howard Eco Works across the way, but fortunately, the plants that they were selling, we sold out of early on. And so then I did see some people go over and buy some. So hopefully they had a decent time. But we connected with so much of the community and it was such a great success. So we're pretty
yeah.
excited.
Hopefully next year it'll be nice and it can expand outside. And I think
Exactly.
Howard Eco Works, as you want to get your name out there, that's important to them too. So, that's a nice community thing for them as well.
Exactly. Yeah, I had emailed with them a bit and they weren't too worried about their sales. They more just wanted people to know them. And then the other part of that is we're working on the cul-de-sac remodels with at least one of them has acquired most of their plants with our install date at the end of May, I think. The other one is having some trouble getting their residents to get it together. So they're still organizing, but we're moving along with those. So.
And Rebecca, please remind them that they should save their receipts and as they purchase, they can submit them to me, but I have to have receipts.
Yes. Oh, one quick question on that. There is like a resident over at Wild Lake who sells her plants. We just give them away in our community, but some people propagate them on purpose to sell them. But she's just a person, so she doesn't have how
She can
your
type a
receipt
receipt.
policy. Yeah.
She
Okay.
can, with her name, what it was, the amount, and she can sign it. Yeah.
Perfect. Okay.
I need something to match up with the money I'm giving back.
Yeah, I didn't know if they could even buy from her if she couldn't give them.
We didn't put any limitations on, unless someone else disagrees on where they can buy from, as long as I have a receipt.
Okay. It's like half the price of nurseries, obviously, because it's just a person. So it would be nice.
Mhm.
Okay, that's all.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Rebecca. Let's see where I am. Bill, I'm not going to miss Bill again. I did that last time.
Two real quickies. Sandy, thanks for signing up to be village manager again this year. You were fabulous job, you and your staff last year. Thank you so much. And
Thank you.
Jerome, welcome to the board. Hopefully you're gonna have a really fun year. We're gonna have a
Thank
fun
you.
year with you too. Thank you.
I look forward to it.
Good.
All right, and just two quick things for me, Sandy.
Did Warren
Amy-
go?
Didn't I call Warren?
I did.
Yeah, Warren went.
Oh.
I
Yeah,
had nothing to say.
yeah. So to Sandy, Amy, and the whole staff of OMCA, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Looking forward to another great year. To our returning and new board members, thank you. Thank you for serving our community. And I just have one quick thing. It's a save the date. So if you mark your calendars, if you're available, Friday, June 13th at about 1:15, Oakland Mills High is planning the ribbon cutting on their outdoor classroom. They're going to do it during the school day, and their first event is going to be their first ever outdoor Scorpion speaker series presentation. So they're going to have a guest speaker, and they've invited our village board to join them for the ribbon cutting ceremony to thank us for the support we've provided them over the past few years to get that outdoor classroom together.
What day is
So
that?
Can you
again,
give us
it's
the date and
Friday,
time again?
Friday, June 3rd at 1:15. If you mark your calendars.
Doing it.
I don't know. I'll find out whether there's also going to be a rain date, but you know, it's always beautiful in Oakland Mills, so I guess they're assuming there wouldn't need to be a rain date. And that's everything. Thank you very much. And if there's no further business, then we can consider ourselves adjourned. Thank you very much.
Thank you all.
Take
Good
care.
night.
Night, everybody.